lights are off on the Toyota Camry pace car. The Go Bowling at the Glen is ready to roar into life. It's time to bring the action at one of the best road courses in the world. Ross Chastain, who missed out on making the playoffs, but he might be able to help himself and his teammate. We're racing on a road course in the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs. Let's go here at the Glen. Good start from Chastain, but Shane Van Gisbergen right behind him. Truex coming on the outside with Bowman as well. Great start, Chastain.
Give that spot to Cindric. Now they wreck. Christopher Bell out of the bus stop. Several other cars involved. Looks like Kyle Busch is in there, as well as a few others. Everybody should be able to drive away, but the Busch car is going backwards, headed down the bus stop.
And Denny Hamlin involved in that as well. Jeff, he's coming your way.
Yeah,
and the car doesn't look good.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin's coming my way. Kyle Busch, you can see the damage on his car, left rear quarter panel. A lot of smoke on the cars on this back straightaway. Denny Hamlin's car is damaged. Don't know if it's just a flat tire or if it's suspension damage. Caution flies over here. Denny Hamlin rolling by me right now. It's hard for me to know if it's suspension or tire, but smoke coming off of that car.
Ryan Blaney, we mentioned it, starting in the back, needed a clean start, got anything but. Blaney, Hamlin, both involved. Let's take a look, Diff. It's the bus stop. We heard him call it live. Too wide up front, but they got through there clean. Back here a little bit further, you see a little tire lock up, a little bit of smoke. And then right there, kind of all on his own, the 8 gets spun around, and they pile in. Such a fast area of the racetrack.
So Ryan did not explain what happened, but here's the issue. He now has a broken steering column, and it won't steer at all. You see him being towed back to the garage or back to the pit road right now, but the broken steering column is the biggest issue for Ryan Blaney. So you got to wonder, you know, he went off in an odd direction, Steve, if that actually maybe happened before all the wreck happened in front of him.
Well, and towing him back, he's done, right? The damaged vehicle policy, when you're in an accident, you can't go to the garage and make repairs, so it's going to be day over for the 12 of Blaney, who came in 45 points above the cut line. The 11 of Hamlin, because he could drive back, he can make repairs. Parker, a lot of damage for Denny Hamlin.
Ross Chastain in the Busch Lightmobile on the left. Martin Truex Jr. Shane Van Gisbergen tucked in behind. AJ Allmendinger, Alex Bowman. Here we go again. Logano has a look on the inside of Allmendinger. Once again, Chastain gets a terrific start.
Here they come now out of turn number 1. Chastain in that blue.
Whoa! Did you see that, Bagman?
That's crazy. The field knotted up, mid-pack on back. Everybody just trying to root gouging at everything they can get. They sorted out, and that's allowed a few drivers to scamper away with positions that they didn't have before.
And this is AJ Allmendinger, that car that was out of shape and going backwards down the back straightaway. Heard him say something is broke. He's still at pace, but losing lots of track position as the leaders work their way through the bus stop. Everybody through smoothly this time. There's some nudge. Harrison Burton muscled out of the way by Brad Keselowski as everybody works through the carousel and out of turn 5. Leaders work up the back straightaway. Bowman's got a pretty good run on Truex as they work into the bus stop for the final time in stage 1. If he gets through here cleanly, he may have a shot at him, but Truex gets through there pretty well, leaves the entry a little bit wide through the carousel. Bowman has closed, though. He got through the bus stop very cleanly, down to a half-car length now as they work out of 5 and come to the stage end, Jeff.
Yeah, look at the guys able to get points. So many drivers that some pick not to make the next round. Briscoe, Suarez, Cindric, all getting solid points.
Brad Keselowski speeding on pit road. He'll have to lose track position under yellow. Can Truex pull it off? He looks smooth. 48-14 in tow. Truex going to win the stage.
This is hugely valuable for Martin Truex Jr. At a place where he has won before, he'll take those stage points. Do we get into more of a rhythm here? Is it going to be more predictable or more chaos to come? Here we go. Van Gisbergen is pushing. Chastain hard on the inside. SVG thinks about diving on the inside and then thinks again. McDowell goes out wide. Check out this, Bagman. Here they come.
McDowell's going to swing it all the way wide. He's going to take a run for the lead, but he can't get it done. Chastain gets the burst into the clean air. McDowell right behind him into 34. Shane Van Gisbergen gets punted a bit wide coming through turn 3. Joey Logano breathing down his tailpipes in the 22.
Tyler Reddick was that car that spun on entry to turn number 1. You see him off the pace and losing ground as he tries to gather it in up the S's. Meanwhile, leaders working through the bus stop. Chastain feeling the pressure from McDowell in second. A little further back in the top 10. Everybody dipping the tires off the exit curving through the bus stop. Chris Buescher to the inside of Noah Gragson. They race for the 10th and 11th spot through the carousel and out of 5.
And man, this is a busy pit road.
Spun around,
Chasing.
99 car spun around in turn 6. He is borderline in the gravel. He's stuck. He cannot get out. NASCAR's going to have to throw the caution here.
This has been such a crazy day for playoff drivers.
And this is day over for Chastain and SVG. They try to run one extra lap. Will they get to pit road before the yellow? It's a drag race. The 1 and the 16, they will not make it. Pit road is closed. So much frustration in the camp of the 1 and the 16. That was the one thing that could not happen on their strategy. This yellow will sink them, his own teammate, the playoff car, the 99 in the sand.
By the way, that errant wheel on pit road that Stevie circled before, that belonged to Brad Keselowski's 6 car from RFK.
Yeah, the other thing it did, Steve, is that all those guys behind him, here he is, Suarez he just locked the rear tires up, had problems getting into 6. But the other thing that did is that the guys behind Chastain, Van Gisbergen, they were expecting him to pit also. So Gibbs, Byron, Burton, Briscoe, Bowman, all those guys just lost 2 and maybe 3 points if Logano would have been able to pit also.
Interesting enough, in all of this chaos, Denny Hamlin is going to sneak into the 10th position and score a point. And, you know, a point doesn't seem like much, but we've seen ties eliminate drivers in the playoffs. This 1 point for Denny Hamlin might be the difference.
You'll take what you can get. There is the end of stage 2, albeit under a slower pace under caution. Ross Chastain wins that second stage. How will they hang in there? We're about to find out. Stage 3 begins now. Briscoe on the inside. Look at that high point forward. Does he get Van Gisbergen? No, he gets hit. There's contact. They're scrambling everywhere and spreading. Baggy, they're coming your way.
And it is chaos leaving turn 1, heading into the S's. They all try to sort it out. Treble up to turn number 2. Denny Hamlin is around, and he's got contact on the back of his race car. Hamlin comes to grief at the bottom of the S's. He's able to refire the car, but as you can tell by the crowd here in turn 2, they are happy about Denny Hamlin, but I guarantee you he is not.
These playoffs have been brutal for Denny Hamlin, even pre-playoffs, with the penalty for the mix-up with the engine, where it was unsealed when it shouldn't have been. Lost, massive loss of points. Crashed at Daytona, crashed in the big wreck. Recovered at Darlington, and here just gets put into the wall.
Yeah, 3 wide. I mean, basically he uses the runoff, but the same 5 and 6 that we were showing you were side by side. Brad basically is like, look, man, if you're going to go to that runoff, you're just not going to squeeze me and have me lift. You see all that dirty rubber. I think the 11 knows he has to get in line. 3 cars just don't fit on the entry to the S's, Jeff.
Will the craziness continue? Almost guaranteed. Let's go. Restart in stage 3. McDowell in that bright green car on the inside. Mike Bagley, get ready. Here they come.
Ross Chastain has already gotten away. SVG letting it fly in the way outside, trying to hang on to second. But here comes Michael McDowell in that 34 car. McDowell's got to pump the brakes just a tad, so SVG will get second.
40 total, 30 green, and for sure you're starting to see him go away. But until they start to lose too much track position as Buescher cleaves Chastain, what a great move.
And Chastain's time at the front has come to an end. Ross has led more laps here today than his entire road course career.
So you're like, hey, man.
Might have another one here.
Yeah.
Might have another one here. Dillon is making, oh, and he does give him one. Wow.
I think there was something wrong with the 20. He was so
Bell was
slow.
trying to come to pit road, Steve. He was trying to come to pit road that time.
Bell trying to come to pit road. The 3 to his right side, and the 3's not going to lift and let him across. The 20 gets spun out, gets to pit road now to service of his crew, Marty. And that's why we're seeing cars on pit road kind of gambling that this tire will come off and end up in a spot where the caution has to be waived. He's coming down the backstretch in front of Jeff. Bad luck for your son, but the left rear so far staying on.
So far it stayed on. Lots of debris coming off of it. I think NASCAR is going to be put in a spot here. Leader coming right behind him. Rubber on the racetrack. Here comes Chris Buescher. Here comes SVG. The main tire is still on the car, though. Will it come off right? There's the caution.
Oh, and what a break for the two cars that were on pit road. Keselowski and Logano jumped to pit road, assuming there would be a yellow. They get a yellow because of that tire debris.
And let's get ready to go. How's it going to work out? Who's going to behave themselves? Who's not? Who's got the speed? Who's got the better tires? Time to bring the action at the Glen. Let's go. Chris Buescher with an excellent placement of his car, but it opens up that inside line back to SVG.
SVG had an open lane, but he wasn't close enough to capitalize. Instead, it's Chris Buescher. He'll punch his way through to the lead. Hocevar now second. SVG is third. They're going to stack them up double wide for fourth. A couple of white and blue cars there at the top of your screen. Chastain and Briscoe, and there's trouble further back. William Byron gets launched up onto the retaining wall. Brad Keselowski is involved. Everybody else will find their way through, but William Byron up and in the air with Keselowski pinned underneath.
My goodness. The defending race winner, William Byron, playoff driver, William Byron, playoff driver, Brad Keselowski.
There it is, the orange and blue car side by side with Logano. Oh, Logano kind of gets into the 6 or vice versa, but either way, man, what a hit for the 24.
It was super tight. That is such a funnel through there. There was nothing between it. Here's the view from Tyler Reddick. Look up ahead.
Very, very fortunate for the 24. The double height of the Armco there, the extra third layer, not just a normal 2-height Armco, but a triple height Armco. You see all the way at the top of it. That gets very, very scary if he gets above that Armco into the catch fence. Fortunately, not the case. It's so hard to tell, we see the beating and banging. I don't know who's in the appropriate lane. It's so, you said, narrow and S's.
Yeah. It's just a funnel, right? It's just a tunnel up there. And by the way, that section is blind when you're coming up there and coming around to the right. And William had just gone to the left of Logano. Logano kind of got hung up a little bit on Brad Keselowski, and it all unfolded, unfortunately. The playoff drivers are wounded. Who's going to get the best result? And who is going to win this one? Waiting for the green.
Green.
Van Gisbergen gave Buescher a little bit of a bump, and it's hurt him because they open up that gap. He's going to have to go deep on the brakes. He's got Chastain on his outside. Mike Bagley, they're coming to you.
Chris Buescher breaks away with the lead again. Hocevar trying to hang on to second. He'll chop off Shane Van Gisbergen. But here's SVG on the attack. He'll look to the outside for a moment. And there's trouble further back. Tyler Reddick's around. Kyle Busch is involved. That's Reddick in the 45 and Busch in the 8. Trying to right their cars. Trouble mid-pack on back as everybody in front of them was able to escape.
We're going to overtime. 12th race of this 2024 season that has had at least one overtime. This overtime presented by Credit One Bank. Buescher on the left, Hocevar on the right, SVG on the inside alongside Ross Chastain. Here we go. Do we finish it off? Van Gisbergen tries to unsettle Buescher, puts it on the inside, gets on the gas. It's Van Gisbergen and Buescher side by side to you, Mike.
Wheel to wheel for the lead, coming to the S's, and it's SVG. He'll power past Buescher and go to the lead. Buescher now to second. Third now will be Carson Hocevar. Chastain in fourth, but SVG, your new leader in NASCAR overtime.
Top 4 breakaway. Can Chris Buescher get it regathered and try to come back for a charge at Shane Van Gisbergen? He gets into the bus stop well. The top 2 have started to squirt away from the field. Now Buescher sideways, hustling that 17 car as he tries to track down Shane Van Gisbergen through the carousel. Top 2 breaking away out of 5.
It was a little bit of contact from SVG to the 17 that presented this opportunity for the lead. If Buescher can catch him, he has a permission slip now to use the same tactic, but I don't think he can. I think SVG has the fastest race car.
SVG shows his experience 1 lap to go to figure it out. 7 corners at the Glen to try to stay clear of Chris Buescher. The battle on for 3rd behind with Chastain and Hocevar.
And no matter what happens on this lap, the race will be determined. Do you know what? If you go back to 2012, a former NASCAR driver by the name of Marcus Ambrose drove to a spectacular victory, being hounded by Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski is one of the co-owners of the team of the car doing the chasing. Chris Buescher is hounding down Shane Van Gisbergen, who happens to be mentored by Marcus Ambrose. Marcus will be back in Australia watching this, and it's shades of Keselowski and Ambrose all over again. Buescher gets on the inside of SVG and says, "You pushed me around earlier, I'm going to give it back." Incredible on this final lap. Van Gisbergen's only got 1 real shot left at it. Maybe 2. Thinks about it into turn 6. Did Buescher save the best to last? Or has Van Gisbergen got a little payback? He gets wide. He loses it almost. He has to gather it up, but he can't do it. Chris Buescher wins at the Glen in the most spectacular style. What did we just see?
So proud of you, man. So proud of you. That was awesome. Great job, guys. Great job. Screw the chase. Screw it.
The pain of missing the playoffs has just been eased with a phenomenal victory at the Glen by Chris Buescher. It was on from this point. Both drivers did incredibly well, but this is where Buescher got the run, courtesy of an unforced error from SVG.
Rarely do we see it, but that's exactly what happened. 16, too much speed into the bus stop, loses the back of the car. The 16, slight contact. Look at it again, Lee. He turns in okay, but so much speed, he loses the rear, turning back to the left right there. And the 17 capitalizes and finds a way to the right of the 16. This contact right here is NASCAR racing at its finest.